The Galactic Council convened once again, an assembly of the most powerful races in the universe, all gathered in one massive chamber that seemed to stretch endlessly, filled with tension. The chamber was alive with debate, voices rising, an atmosphere thick with distrust and fear. At the center of the room, a large holographic screen displayed a map of the galaxy, with blinking red dots indicating the locations of various star systems and colonies. Some of those dots were alien worlds inhabited by species that had forged alliances with Earth. Captain Jane Harper stood in front of the council, her gaze steady and calm, even as the weight of the moment hung heavily in the air. She was human, and she knew all too well that many of the council members dismissed her, seeing Earth as an insignificant player in the grand scheme of galactic politics. But Captain Harper was not here to beg for respect. She was here for one simple reason: to protect her allies, the Xylorians. The Xylorians were a peaceful species, their society built on harmony and knowledge. They had been one of the first races to form an alliance with humanity, a bond that had deepened over the years as both species worked together for mutual benefit. But now, the galaxy's most powerful empires, led by the Raxians, were trying to push forward a new treaty that would place the Xylorians under their control. The argument at the council meeting had become heated. Several council members, including the Raxians, spoke about the need for the Xylorians to be governed under stricter laws. The Raxians wanted control over the Xylorians' resources, minerals that were vital to the construction of advanced technology. Earth's allies, the Xylorians, were standing in the way of Raxian greed. The Xylorians have no place in the galactic hierarchy, one of the Raxian delegates sneered, his voice dripping with disdain. They are too weak to defend themselves, and their planet holds valuable resources we have every right to claim. Captain Harper clenched her fists at her sides. She had heard this before. It was always the same. Powerful empires attempting to dominate weaker species for their own gain. But this time, it wasn't just any species being targeted. It was the Xylorians, and that made it personal. "I beg your pardon," Captain Harper said, her voice cutting through the noise. "But I must remind the Council that the Xylorians are our allies. The Earth Council will not stand by while you strip them of their autonomy." The room fell silent. A few of the Council members looked at each other nervously, but the Raxian delegate only laughed, a harsh mocking sound. "The Earth Council?" he scoffed. "What are you going to do about it, Captain Harper? You are no match for the might of the galactic empires." Her eyes narrowed and her voice dropped, but every word was heavy with meaning. "We warned you once. Harm the Xylorians, and humanity will respond. And trust me, you will not like the consequences." The room buzzed with whispers. It was unthinkable. Humanity, so young in galactic terms, challenging the might of the powerful empires that had ruled the galaxy for eons. Most races had underestimated Earth's potential, seeing them as little more than primitive survivors of a brutal war on their homeworld. But Captain Harper knew something that the rest of the galaxy did not. Earth had been tested by fire, and humanity had come out stronger. The Raxian delegate's grin faded, and his gaze turned cold. "You think you can stop us? You are just one species, and you are outnumbered by forces much greater than you." "I think you've misunderstood," Captain Harper replied, her voice calm but resolute. "We are not just one species. We have allies, and we are not alone. If you harm the Xylorians, you will make an enemy of Earth, and that will be your mistake. Our wrath will be unlike anything you've ever seen." The tension in the room grew thick. Some delegates were clearly disturbed by her words, but the Raxians remained unshaken, believing they were untouchable. They had underestimated Earth, and they would pay the price for it. The council session dragged on, with many arguing over the specifics of the treaty, but Captain Harper remained firm. She knew that words alone wouldn't be enough. The galaxy would soon learn that humanity was not to be trifled with. As the meeting ended and the delegates began to leave, Captain Harper turned to her colleagues, who had been watching the proceedings. With bated breath, "Prepare the fleet," she ordered, her voice low and steady. "If they do anything to harm the Xylorians, we will act, and we will do so swiftly." Her team nodded. already anticipating the next steps. They had trained for moments like this, knowing that Earth's future and the future of its allies depended on their strength and unity. There was no turning back now. As Captain Harper walked out of the council chamber, she paused to look out at the stars. She could feel the weight of the warning she had just delivered. The galaxy was vast, but humanity had made its mark. It would only take one wrong move from the council, one mistake from the Raxians to ignite a war that could change the galaxy forever. And Captain Harper was ready for it. Because when Earth acted, the galaxy would know. Humanity's wrath was not to be underestimated. The calm of the Xylorian system was shattered without warning. The Raxian fleet, supported by a coalition of other powerful galactic empires, launched a sudden and brutal assault on the Xylorian colony of Lyora. The peaceful Xylorians, who had lived in harmony with their allies, were caught off guard. Their planet, known for its lush forests and tranquil oceans, was now a battlefield. The Raxians came with overwhelming force, their ships darkening the skies above Lyora as they unleashed a wave of destruction. The Xylorians had no military to defend themselves. They were scholars, scientists, and peacekeepers. They believed in diplomacy and cooperation, not warfare. But the Raxians didn't care. They sought control over the planet's resources. Rare minerals that powered the most advanced technology in the galaxy, and they were willing to crush anyone who stood in their way. As Raxian warships tore through the skies above Lyora, the Xylorians sent a desperate plea for help to the Galactic Council. But the Council, mired in politics and unwilling to anger the Raxians, did nothing. The Xylorians' cries for aid fell on deaf ears. Back on Earth, Captain Jane Harper stood in front of a large holographic display in the command center, watching the unfolding disaster on the screen. Her face was hard, her jaw clenched. She had known this would happen. She had warned them. And now, the galaxy was about to witness the cost of ignoring humanity's threat. "The Xylorians are being attacked," Harper said quietly to her crew, her voice steady despite the anger she felt. "We are not going to wait for the council. We will act now." The room fell silent, and everyone in the command center understood what that meant. Earth had always been seen as a minor player in galactic politics. But now, the galaxy was about to find out just how far humanity was willing to go to protect its allies. "Ready the fleet," Captain Harper ordered. "Prepare for immediate deployment. We leave in 5 minutes." Her crew sprang into action. There was no hesitation. For years, they had trained for this moment. The Earth fleet, now one of the most advanced military forces in the galaxy, had been built in secret. The ships were fast, powerful, and equipped with cutting-edge technology that many believed was still a dream. But Earth had learned from its past, from the brutal wars that had nearly destroyed their homeworld. They would never again be caught unprepared. As the fleet prepared to leave Earth's orbit, Captain Harper stood on the bridge of the flagship, the Odyssey. The crew was ready, and the ship's powerful engines hummed with life. She turned to her second-in-command, Commander Alex Cruz, who stood beside her, watching the stars outside the viewport. "We're not just fighting for the Xylorians," Harper said, her voice low. "This is for every race in the galaxy that's been oppressed. We cannot allow the Raxians to think they can do whatever they want without consequences. If we let them get away with this, they'll only do it again." Cruz nodded. "Understood, Captain. We won't let them." The Odyssey launched from Earth's orbit, its powerful engines sending it hurtling through space. Behind it, the rest of the Earth fleet followed, a shining armada of ships, each one capable of decimating an entire fleet of enemy vessels. The message was clear. Humanity would not sit idly by while its allies were destroyed. As they approached the Xylorian system, Captain Harper and her crew watched the destruction unfold on the screen. The Raxians had already bombarded the surface, laying waste to Xylorian cities and fortresses. The peaceful Xylorians, unarmed and defenseless, were being slaughtered. Their ships, if they had any, were no match for the might of the Raxian warships. "Take us in," Captain Harper ordered, her voice sharp and decisive. "We're not waiting any longer." The fleet moved into position, the ships dropping out of hyperspace with deadly precision. The Raxian fleet, still focused on their assault, didn't see Earth's ships coming. The humans had arrived faster than expected, and they came in full force. "We've got their attention," Cruz said, his voice tight with excitement. "They're turning toward us." "Good," Harper replied, her eyes focused on the screen. "Let them come." The battle began almost instantly. The Raxian warships, large and heavily armed, turned to face the incoming human fleet. But what they didn't realize was that Earth's ships were faster, more agile, and better equipped. The Odyssey and its fleet moved like a well-oiled machine, dodging incoming fire while retaliating with devastating precision. "Target there. Engines," Captain Harper ordered. "We need to disable their ships, not destroy them. We want prisoners." The Earth fleet's advanced targeting systems locked onto the Raxian warships, and the battle was quickly in full swing. Laser beams and missile strikes lit up the dark expanse of space as the two fleets collided in a deadly dance. The Raxians, used to overwhelming their enemies with sheer force, were stunned by the humans' tactical brilliance. Earth's ships moved with unmatched speed, taking down one Raxian vessel after another. The humans' precision strikes disabled the Raxian fleet's engines, rendering them helpless. "We've got them," Cruz said, a smile creeping onto his face. "They're retreating." "Not so fast," Captain Harper muttered, her gaze intense. "I want every last one of them captured. We're not done yet." The battle raged for hours, but by the end, the Raxian fleet had been completely neutralized. The remaining Raxian ships were captured, their crews taken prisoner. The message had been sent. Humanity would protect its allies, no matter the cost, as the last Raxian ship was brought under control. Captain Harper stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, watching the peaceful Xylorian planet below. The battle had been won, but the war was far from over. The galaxy had been warned, but many would not believe the power of humanity until they saw it again. "We've done it," Cruz said quietly, his eyes on the screen. Harper nodded, but her expression was grim. This is just the beginning. The galaxy was still reeling from the sudden turn of events. After Earth's overwhelming victory over the Raxians, many in the Galactic Council were left speechless, unsure of what to make of the bold, decisive action taken by the humans. The galaxy's balance of power had been shaken, and there was an uneasy silence across the stars. But Captain Jane Harper and her crew on the Odyssey were not concerned with the reactions of the Council. They had just delivered their message, loud and clear, and now they had to deal with the aftermath. The Raxians, though humiliated, were not the only force in the galaxy with ambitions of domination. Many feared that Earth's newfound strength would spark a wider conflict, and some of the most powerful empires in the galaxy were now considering their next move. Back on Earth, the media was abuzz with the news of the victory. Humanity, once dismissed as a minor race, was now viewed as a formidable force. The global leaders hailed Captain Harper and her fleet as heroes, but there were also those who feared the consequences of Earth's actions. The Xylorians, deeply grateful for the human intervention, now looked to Earth for protection, but Harper knew that their victory was only a small part of the larger battle ahead. On the Odyssey, Captain Harper stood at the helm, staring out at the stars. The vastness of space had always been both beautiful and terrifying, but now, the beauty of it was marred by the dark clouds of war that were beginning to gather. "Captain," Commander Alex Cruz's voice broke through her thoughts. "We've received a transmission from the Raxian High Command." Harper turned to face him. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing a stern-faced Raxian general. His eyes were cold, but there was a trace of fear beneath them. "Captain Harper," the general said, his voice steady but laced with anger, "you have humiliated us. The Raxian Empire will not forget this. Your actions have consequences." "Captain," Harper's gaze hardened. She knew that the Raxians would seek revenge, but she also knew that they had underestimated humanity's resolve. "General," she replied calmly, "we warned you. Harm our allies, and you will face the consequences. What happens next is up to you. We will not back down." The Raxian general's lips curled into a snarl, You are not the only power in the galaxy, Earth. You may have won this battle, but there are many who will rise against you. We will see to it that humanity learns what happens when it challenges the might of the true powers in the galaxy. The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. Captain Harper exchanged a glance with Cruz. She knew the Raxians were only the beginning. There were many other factions in the galaxy, some more powerful than the Raxians who were now watching Earth closely. But Harper was not afraid. She had seen humanity's potential, and she knew that Earth had the strength to defend itself. "We'll be ready," Harper said, her voice unwavering. "But we need to prepare. This war is far from over." As the Odyssey and its fleet continued to patrol the Xylorian system, Earth's military leaders began to gather their forces. The victory over the Raxians had proven that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, but it had also drawn the attention of every major empire in the galaxy. Some would see humanity as a threat, while others would attempt to exploit the situation for their own gain. Back on Earth, the Council convened to discuss the next steps. The war had only just begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. Captain Harper's victory over the Raxians was impressive, President Lorraine Adams said as she addressed the Council. But we must prepare for the inevitable fallout. Other empires will test us. The question is, how do we handle it? Harper sat at the head of the table, her posture firm. She had seen the questions in their eyes. Earth had risen to the challenge, but the battle for galactic dominance was far from over. "We'll need to forge new alliances," Harper said, her voice steady. "We can't do this alone. The Xylorians are a start, but we need to secure more allies, especially in the Outer Rim territories. There are races out there who have been oppressed by the major empires. They will join us if we offer them a chance to fight back." Adams nodded, but there was a hint of doubt in her eyes. "And what about the Raxians? We can't ignore them. They'll be back, and they'll bring their allies." "We'll be ready," Harper replied. "I've already begun reaching out to other races who share our interests. But it's not just about allies. It's about showing the galaxy that humanity will not back down. If we have to fight, then we fight with everything we've got." The room fell silent as the weight of Harper's words hung in the air. The Council knew she was right. Earth had made its mark, but the path ahead would not be easy. They would need to navigate a galaxy filled with power struggles, deceit, and war. But Captain Harper was determined. Humanity would not be a footnote in galactic history. "Captain Harper," said General Marcus Ellis, the head of Earth's military forces, "we have a fleet of new warships ready for deployment. We've been working on advanced weaponry and defensive systems. We're stronger than ever." Harper nodded, a small smile crossing her face. "Good. We'll need every ship, every soldier, and every ally we can get. The galaxy won't wait for us to be ready. It's time to show them that humanity stands united." As the meeting came to an end, Captain Harper left the room, her mind racing with plans and strategies. She knew the galaxy was watching, and she knew that Earth's actions would set the tone for the future. They had made their mark, but now they would have to defend it. The galaxy had underestimated humanity once before. Now, it would never make that mistake again, and if anyone dared to harm Earth's allies, they would face the full force of humanity's wrath. The galaxy was watching. After the devastating defeat of the Raxians, many had expected Earth to back down, to return to its humble position as a quiet, insignificant planet in the vastness of space. But Earth had not backed down. Instead, it had shown the galaxy that it would stand by its allies, and it would do whatever it took to protect them. Captain Jane Harper stood on the bridge of the Odyssey, her gaze fixed on the stars ahead. The Xylorian system was peaceful again, but the victory had come at a cost. Thousands of lives had been lost in the battle, both on Earth's side and among the Raxians. The galaxy now knew that humanity would no longer remain passive, but the consequences of that decision were still unknown. As the Odyssey glided through the calm space of the Xylorian system, a message blinked on the command console. It was from the Galactic Council requesting an emergency meeting. "Prepare the fleet for hyperspace jump," Harper ordered. "We're going to the Council." Her crew moved swiftly, readying the ship for travel. The message from the council was a sign that the galaxy was now paying attention to humanity. But Harper knew the meeting wouldn't be easy. The council was divided, with some members praising Earth's strength, while others saw it as a dangerous threat to the balance of power. Once the fleet was prepared, the Odyssey entered hyperspace, and the journey to the Galactic Council's headquarters began. It would take several hours, but Harper's mind was already at work. She knew the Raxians wouldn't be the last to challenge Earth. The question now was how to navigate the complex web of alliances and enmities that stretched across the galaxy. When the Odyssey emerged from hyperspace, the council chamber loomed. Before them, a massive structure that stood at the heart of the galaxy. It was here that decisions were made, and it was here that humanity would face the consequences of its actions. As the Earth fleet entered the council's orbit, Captain Harper stood before the holographic table, surrounded by the most powerful beings in the galaxy. She had been prepared for hostility, but what she saw in the eyes of the council members was something else. Fear. Captain Harper, the voice of the council's president, an alien known as Velroth, echoed through the chamber. You have made your point. Humanity has proven that it can fight back. But what does that mean for the rest of us? What do you want from us? Harper's eyes locked with the president's. She knew the question was inevitable, and she knew the answer had to be one of unity and strength. I don't want war, she said, her voice calm and steady. I want peace. But we will not allow our allies to be taken advantage of. We will not allow anyone to trample on those who cannot defend themselves. Velroth raised one of his 3 spindly arms in frustration. And yet you have become the very thing you once feared. A power that uses force to control others. If you continue down this path, you will make enemies of us all. We are not using force to control anyone, Harper replied, her voice unwavering. We are protecting those who cannot protect themselves. The Raxians thought they could bully the Zalorians, and now they know that Earth will not stand idly by. We are not the aggressors here. Another council member, a large insectoid creature, named Thark, spoke up. But what happens next? Will you challenge every empire that seeks to expand? Will you draw your weapon on every species that disagrees with you? Harper took a deep breath before answering. No, we are not looking for conflict, but if someone threatens our allies, we will act, and we will not ask for permission. You can call it a warning if that helps you sleep at night, but we will not back down. A tense silence filled the room. The council members were not used to being spoken to in this way. The galaxy had always operated on fear, diplomacy, and compromise. But Earth was different. Earth was driven by a fierce determination to protect its own, and that made them unpredictable. The president cleared his throat. And what if we don't agree with your approach, Captain Harper? What if the council decides that your methods are too extreme? Then you will have a choice, Harper replied. You can either stand with us and defend the weak, or you can stand against us. But make no mistake, if you turn your back on Earth and our allies, you will have to face the consequences. The room was silent for several moments. Harper's words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. The council members exchanged nervous glances, unsure of how to respond. They had never been in a situation like this before. Humanity had thrown the established order into chaos. Finally, the president spoke. Again, we will deliberate on this matter. For now, you and your fleet are free to go. Harper nodded, but she knew that the meeting wasn't over. The real battle had just begun. The council might not have made a decision today, but the seeds of a new era were already being planted. Whether the galaxy accepted it or not, humanity was no longer a small player in the grand game of galactic politics. They had made their presence known, and they would fight to protect their future. As the Odyssey left the council chamber, Captain Harper stood in front of the viewport, gazing out at the stars. The galaxy was vast, and Earth was small. But that didn't matter anymore. Earth had proven that it could stand up for itself, and that it would do whatever it took to protect those who needed help. The battle for the future was just beginning, and humanity would be ready. The calm of space felt strange after everything that had happened. The Odyssey drifted silently in the Xylorian system, the stars stretching endlessly around it, untouched by the turmoil that had shaken the galaxy. Captain Jane Harper stood on the bridge, staring at the endless expanse ahead. She had led humanity into a new chapter, one that would forever change the way the galaxy viewed Earth. It had been weeks since the battle with the Raxians, and the galaxy was still in shock. The Galactic Council, though hesitant to act immediately, had been forced to reconsider its stance on Earth. Some factions had begun to open diplomatic channels with Earth, realizing that humanity had the power to defend itself and its allies. But there were also those who viewed Earth's rise with fear, and those fears would not go away easily. "Captain, we've received a transmission from the Zoran Alliance," Commander Alex Cruz said, interrupting her thoughts. Harper turned, her face unreadable. "Put it through." The holographic display flickered to life, revealing the image of a tall Zoran ambassador. His long, silvery body glowed faintly in the dim light of his ship's bridge. The Zorans were known for their wisdom and intellect, and they had been watching Earth's actions closely. "Captain Harper," the ambassador's voice was smooth but serious, "we have been following your actions in the Xylorian system. The galaxy is on edge, and some are beginning to ask questions about Earth's role in the future." Harper's expression remained calm, but she could feel the weight of the conversation. "And what questions are those?" The Zoran ambassador paused for a moment, clearly choosing his words carefully. "Some believe that humanity's actions signal a new era of power, one where Earth is not merely an ally, but a force that could challenge the established order. Others fear that you may become a threat to the peace we've worked for centuries to build." Harper nodded slowly. "I'm not looking to threaten anyone," she replied, "but we will not allow our allies to be trampled on. The galaxy has to understand that humanity will act when necessary. We're not interested in domination. We're interested in peace and protection for those who cannot defend themselves." The Zoran ambassador studied her for a moment, his sharp eyes betraying no emotion. "You speak of peace, Captain, but peace cannot come without balance. If humanity continues on this path, it may become the very thing it once feared, a force that dictates the terms of peace." Harper's eyes hardened. "We don't want to dictate anything. We want to defend what is right. If that means standing against oppression, then so be it. But I will not apologize for protecting the innocent." The ambassador sighed, clearly troubled. "It is not your intentions we fear, Captain. It is the consequences of your actions. The galaxy is already divided, and your rise to power will only create more division. Some factions will seek to challenge you, while others will ally with you, but the balance is fragile. I advise you to tread carefully." "I will keep that in mind," Harper replied, her voice steady. "But Earth has made its stance clear. We will protect those who need it, and we will not back down. You may not agree with us, but you will respect us." The transmission ended, leaving Harper standing in silence on the bridge. Cruz looked at her, his expression mixed with admiration and concern. "We've made an impact, Captain," Cruz said quietly. "But at what cost? The galaxy is watching, and some factions will not be happy with what we've done." Harper turned to him, her eyes determined. "We've made a choice, Alex. And sometimes making the right choice means facing the consequences. We can't worry about the galaxy's opinion if we believe we're doing the right thing." The quiet hum of the ship's engines filled the silence. Harper knew that the path ahead would not be easy. There were enemies in the galaxy who would see Earth's rise as a threat to their power, and they would stop at nothing to challenge humanity's strength. But there were also those who would stand with Earth, who would see the value in protecting the weak and ensuring that no one race could dominate the others. "I've just received word," Cruz said, bringing her attention back to the mission. "The Raxians are regrouping. They've called for reinforcements, and they're already spreading rumors that Earth has become a rogue state. They'll be looking for an opportunity to strike back." Harper's jaw tightened, but she did not flinch. "Then we'll be ready." As the days passed, Earth's fleet continued to grow, and so did its influence. The Odyssey and its allies patrolled the Xylorian system, ensuring that peace was maintained. The message had been sent loud and clear. Humanity would protect its allies, and it would never be a passive participant in the galaxy's struggles. But despite the victories, Harper knew the challenges were far from over. The galaxy's power dynamics were shifting, and not everyone would be content with Earth's newfound strength. The Raxians were only the first to face humanity's wrath, and many more would come, each one seeking to challenge Earth's place in the galaxy. Captain Harper stood on the bridge once more, staring out at the stars. The universe was vast, and humanity was still small in comparison. But that had changed. Earth had shown the galaxy that it would not back down, that it had the strength to defend its allies and its own future. And as Earth's power continued to grow, Captain Harper knew that the galaxy would never forget the lesson they had learned: harm humanity's allies, and they would face the full force of humanity's wrath. A new era was beginning, and Earth was ready to lead it.